Right, are we all ready? There we go, the recording in
Thanks.
progress. Feel free
Excuse
to
me.
turn off your cameras if you don't want to appear on the recording. Do you want to take it away, Nova?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, one thing I'm going to say is I've never presented on Zoom before. I'm a nightmare with switching between screens and things, so please bear with me. And I also talk quite fast, so I'll try to remember not to, but if you want me to explain anything or slow down, just shout at me. Um, okay, so I'm assuming I have permission to share my screen, or maybe I'll just talk. I'll just talk actually in this first part. I've got all these notes on a document, and I'm really happy to share that with anybody. It's just kind of general guidance on what, or it's not even guidance. It's how we do things and how we kind of try to promote and share information about accessibility. So I hope it's helpful. But here we go. So the first question within a council for us, it was, I mean, who needs to know accessibility? Is it everybody? Um, and we basically came to the conclusion that obviously there are some areas, some services, like for example, refuse collectors don't really usually need to know how to create accessible documents, but just having that information available to everybody if it's needed is just was essential. So we've got quite a comprehensive dedicated section on the intranet that's it's got it's got all the background, the history, everything to do with the laws and the kind of moral side of accessibility, why people have these issues, how to create documents. We have a lot of we've created set up a lot of document templates that are brand compliant. They've got all our colors built in, and they've got accessibility built in, all the kind of correct heading tags, all that sort of thing. We've got links to guidance, training videos, there's support options. So we've really kind of tried to give it everything that we can to make this as as easy for people to do as possible. But we still hear on a daily basis that people haven't heard of accessibility, even though we've been talking about this for years. Um, so, I mean, what we try to do, I mentioned it earlier, like we try to kind of strive for an accessibility first approach, which means that when everyone's starting a new project or outsourcing a website, creating a document, think about accessibility first. That's what we want people to do. But it doesn't always work that way. But obviously, it's a lot easier, and quicker, and cheaper in terms of resource if people can think of, consider accessibility from the beginning. If you have to go back and fix things, that can take time, which cost money in resource. It can delay things, particularly important if there's kind of a required deadline for a document that has to be online by a certain date. Um, but it can be really difficult with this approach because we have always got new members of staff, starting for the council. People change, move around all the time. I'm sure that's the same for everybody. So it can be quite difficult to keep on top of it. But well, like for example, we've created an accessibility e-module, which we tried to get that as sort of a mandatory element of a new starters training. But unfortunately, it was only granted recommended status. We're still working on that, but just being recommended does mean that a lot of people don't do it, unfortunately. So the next step to kind of instill into accessibility into our newbies, or people that need a refresher even, is kind of to create a summary page. So although we've got the main section which has everything, it's a lot to take in. So we've got the summary page, and it covers what is digital accessibility, how to write accessible content. We explain essential for some and useful for all. We talk a little bit about the kind of issues that create accessibility issues, talk about our style guide, and then we link to all our resources. So it's kind of a one page has everything in a short summary with links out to more information. And we do have that is linked from kind of our new starters page. So we get a lot more views on that than we do on the e-module. Um, so just in terms of the training that we offer, we've got lots of different options. Although I've now been told, literally just today, that all the training might be moving to the learning and development team. So I might not even have to do this anymore. But I'm going to tell you what we do for now because that's what I'm here for. So first of all, we've got some step-by-step guides. The word we created a word example with all of the steps, everything from adding a metadata title right through to adding alt text, how to format tables, everything you could possibly need. So we've got step-by-step guides like that. We also offer like Teams training sessions. So we call it on demand, so people can kind of book a time that suits them. And that's, usually that's individual sessions where they can talk about a specific issue, or we can review a document. Then we've got the individual training sessions that go through everything. So we've got the background, where we talk through the step-by-step guides. I mean, I can send some of these to people if anyone's interested, these presentations, and you're I'm very happy for you to kind of tailor them for yourselves. If you think they'll be useful, I'm happy to share. And then now we do a team training session or team or service training session as well. So it's multiple participants, goes on for a lot longer. They're about 2.5 hours, but it goes into everything. So it's an overview of accessibility, the legislation, who it helps, how it's incorporated into our council values and our Luton 2040 priorities, which is, the big focus is being a disability friendly town. We go into all the moral versus legal aspects. So that's a much longer presentation, and we are getting a lot of bookings on those now. I tend to find I'm spending quite a lot of time every week doing training sessions. Other things we do, we have a digital drop-in every 3 months. That's actually the only time we actually have to go into the office now, which is pretty brilliant. Well, we go in for our digital drop-in day, and people can come and find out about the accessibility basics, how to write accessible content, how to plan an accessible form. There's lots of different sessions they can book onto, or they can literally just drop in and talk to us about anything digital. So we obviously promote those in a variety of ways. But we also promote things around, we kind of use the events that are about. So Global Accessibility Day, or Disability Pride Month, which is right now, or no, that was last month actually. We've just ended it. But we'll promote sort of training around those as well, kind of making a big thing of it. So we get news items out on the intranet. We have an internal e-newsletter that goes to all staff called eBrief. So we make sure it's included in that. We use Viva Exchange, so we put a lot of posts up there. We've actually set up links to our booking forms via Teams now, which just makes everything so much easier. So it's easy for people to book onto those sessions. And then we have alert banners on the day that we're doing training sessions, and people can literally just click the links and join the team training sessions. So we do as much as we possibly can, to promote around these. And I do put up random posts on Viva Exchange as well. I mean, I just put one up today about mm, about alt text. I got sent a really interesting video about alt text, so I shared that. So I'm always trying to share information. And then we've got our strategic pages about training as well. So we've got, um, if anybody asks about training, we send them to the team training sessions or the support page, the step-by-step guides, or to the accessibility resources, of which that list just grows and grows. So there's a lot to take in, but we try to tailor it to what each person needs. If they're specifically looking at adding an infographic onto a page or into a document, then we send them to the page on how to make that infographic accessible. Social media campaigns, we've got guidance on doing that, color contrast, all those sort of things. We tend to direct people to the particular resource or the information that they particularly need.
Do you know what I mean? I just can't let it.
Oh, sorry, was that a question or something I needed to hear? Because I didn't hear it. Akeem? No, I'm guessing that was a mistake. I don't know.
Nova, just while you stopped
Oh,
your
yes.
flow, you should be able to share your screen now if you want to.
Oh, do you know what? I don't think I need to. I mean, it's really just, it's just all about what I'm talking about. Just saying, I was going to show you our intranet and things like that. Is anybody interested in seeing our accessibility section?
I think it'd be
Hopefully.
helpful for me to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let me figure out how I can share then. How do I do it? Sorry, I've just never done this on
There is a
as I say, on Zoom
bit.
before.
I can see a button at the bottom of the Zoom
Maybe I
thing
need
that
to
says
close the chat.
share screen.
Oh, right. Okay. I'm also rubbish with. Yeah.
It's fourth from the left, so you can see mute,
Yeah.
then start
Ah, there we
video, then
go. There we go. I was
security.
back. I was on the wrong screen. I'm a nightmare with switching my mouse between screens as well. Okay, so share screen. There we go. And I'm going to. What do we want? Yeah, we'll go with this one. Share. So I can show you. Let me know when you can see it. Are you seeing what I'm seeing at the moment?
Yes, there it is.
Yes, right. So we're on digital services. So this is our very new section. This is all new. So I'm just going to go to our accessibility bit. You know, we've got our little digital drop-in session there. They've got 8 to 9 days till the next one. Oh, come on. Why is it being difficult now? And accessibility. There we go. Our mammoth section. I'm going to try and move this out of the way. Yep, there we go. So this is, I'm just going to scroll down very quickly so you can see kind of the vast amount of information that is on this. I mean, there is a lot there, which is why we kind of tailor the links that we send out. But it's all there for people. This is the newbies page that I was talking about. So once you click on that, and we do send it when people say they've never heard of accessibility or they've forgotten what they need to know. This is kind of just the guide, the basics. Explains the importance of accessibility. Why? Oh, this is a really important factor for us actually. So I think it's somewhere the stats are usually between 20 and 24% of the population have accessibility issues. We've done the calculations. It's more like 30% in Luton because we have a lot of like hundreds of different dialects in this town. And we've got various, there are various reasons why that percentage is higher. But I do really stress that to people that in Luton it's kind of even more of an important issue, and we have to really focus on our population, our residents. So yeah, we've got essential for some, useful for all. I've got lots of different examples of what can be useful for all. Things like bullet pointed list, writing in plain English. That makes it easier for everybody, as we all know. So it's just pointing those things out. Thinking accessibility first. Yeah. So that's the newbies page. But I'm going to go down to, I'm going to show you our step-by-step guide for Word documents. This is where I was saying we've got all the bits on the or we have all our templates all linked to them here. Like I say, we've got all the brand colors all built into those, into the headings, into the fonts, everything. But you've also got this menu down the side, so you can literally go through them step by step. Talks about the accessibility checker, adding a document title, structuring your documents. We just literally it's got all the steps in there that people are going to need. Was there anything else, anything on here before I come away that anyone particularly wanted to see a bit more of? Oh, let's get rid of that. No.
Oh, is it all right if I
I'll-
ask a question?
Oh, please do. Yes, please. That helps.
It's all wonderful. I mean, this is everything that we would do in Oxfordshire County Council. This is what we want to tell staff. Unfortunately, not that we're getting pushback, but we find that services don't really have the enthusiasm that we do for the same sort of messages. Can you
Oh, we
speak to
find
any
that,
of the
believe me.
hurdles that you have? So if staff are on this page, how effective do you find it?
Well, this is where I don't think people just go and find it and go and read it. It is only if we kind of point people to it. And a lot of this I will talk about in the training sessions. So I'll talk about the kind of moral side and the issues that people have. This information here, like the long-term illnesses, 1 in 5 people. So all this data, average reading age being 9 years old, this sort of information, people don't go and find it. But once I get them into a training session or into a conversation, or particularly like, for example, if I'm reviewing a document with somebody and it's, you know, it's all they're using title case, and I'll explain why we should use sentence case, then people tend to be kind of more interested then when you relate it to actual facts and give them reasons why you don't want them to use, you know, all caps and all italics and things like that. When you give them those explanations, I do feel people are a lot more receptible to the information. But it is kind of about getting in front of people. I've really found it's taken, you know, what are we in 6 years into the legislation now, and it's an ongoing thing. It's always it's an uphill battle, but I think we're starting to win. I don't know. We've got people on board. I've had a lot of conversations with our chief executive, and we did a video with him where I was showing him some persona videos, you know, that demonstrated issues that different people have with, like, for example, dyslexia. And we videoed his reaction to those persona videos, and then we shared that, and it got a really good reaction from people because it came from the chief exec. He's really behind us now. He, you know, he shares. I know what was it he shared recently. Sent out to all the managers, just saying, right, you've got to get your team on board with that accessibilities. You know, so it's about getting people on board, getting that buy-in, having the information there that you can share at the right time with the right people. I think if it's all there, then you can just, you know, you can send the links, and it's really useful. But yeah, it's ongoing, and I don't think it's never going to stop, is it? Let's face it, it's never going away. And that's another thing I tell people: you've just got to kind of keep keep going over it. Like with making your documents accessible, the more you do it, it just becomes ingrained. And we have to get that way, because accessibility isn't going away, and that's a good thing. You know, we're doing the right thing for people. So yeah, just don't give up is what I would say.
No, that's really helpful. Thank you. I
Oh,
think we're all on the same journey where we'd like to put this information in front of all of our colleagues, and some are more willing than others, and some don't have time. But
absolutely.
it's I think, like you say, it's nice to just keep referring back to it, and the more often, if there are certain staff members that are creating, let's say, PDF templates or something like that, we can keep refreshing their memory and what they need to do. That's brilliant. Thank
Yeah,
you.
exactly. So one thing I like with this accessible Word document guide. So for example, somebody sends us a document and they've not written very good link text, or they haven't added alt text. Rather than, you know, having to tell them go through it step by step with them, we can literally just link to them. We can link to the good link text page and say, you know, this is how you do it, this is why you do it, this is how you do it, this is how you add alternative text. So I find it really helpful having those very individual pages that we can link to for specific issues. Yeah, that was quite good for us. Any other questions specifically from anyone? Anything anyone wants me to explain a bit more?
Yeah, actually, you have one. So on the PDF topic, it's great to see what you've done. It seems very clear and easy to navigate around, especially these, not especially, also this document accessibility one.
Yeah.
In our experience, the challenge is often that, especially for strategy documents, policies, they,
Mm.
despite our efforts to, you know, get the message across, don't leave it last minute. Come to us, you know, before
Mhm.
you need to publish something. But as we all know,
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, they come and it needs to go live yesterday. So
Yes. Yeah.
I do wonder, for example, what we're doing is to, we have created a flow chart, a sort of decision tree,
Yeah.
explaining the process of what we do allow as PDF and what we don't. Because, for example, if it's a PDF for a policy, like 80 pages policy that is very difficult to turn into web pages,
Mm.
or, you know, statutory consultation documents, I mean, we're trying to put like a limit on what, yes, we will allow as a PDF, because there's no real alternative and a quick fix.
Yeah.
But, you know, there's many others like leaflets, posters, booklets, like stuff that can easily be turned into a web page, or an event listing, for example, for the calendar. So we're trying to, I mean, we have created a policy around, because what happens is that we then get challenges from services, as in, okay, you allow that PDF, why can't this go up as well?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
I
I
do
get that.
wonder. Yeah,
See,
I
we're
do
not
wonder
at,
in that area if you have had any difficult pushback or experience, or if
we're
you have
sort of
had
not
symptoms.
quite at that stage yet because we haven't moved. When I've submitted our latest content strategy, which is got information for when we switch over to local gov Drupal, which, you know, we're hoping by the end of the year, but goodness knows, we still don't know yet. So at the moment it's difficult because on our current content management system, we do we create some documents, but it's really time consuming and it's not practical. But it is something we're going to be doing a lot more once we move to Drupal. So at the moment, that's not the biggest issue for us, but we do get a lot, like for finance, we find are the worst for sending in those
Yeah,
documents, like the ones that, you know, they'll send it 5 p.m. Monday and it's got to be up online at 9 a.m. Tuesday, and it's full of images that don't have alt text. We've had this battle for 6 years, and this was one of the big focuses of why I went to our chief exec and said, look, they do this every year, you know, they're always kind of, they go through, I'm not slating the finance team, I'm just saying it's those particular big end of year documents. And we have a nightmare with them. This year was so much better because we had that backup early on from the chief exec. We'd done the training with them ahead of time, so they knew that they had to, you know, but be compliant before sending it to us. So it's I just find you know, that whether we create those as HTML once we're on LTD, it's undecided still, but I think it's probably unlikely those sort of things will probably still be documents. It's hard to know at this stage, but yes, it's a mission, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Thank you very much. Cheers.
That's okay. I wasn't that helpful on that one, sorry, but anything else I can help anyone with, or answer any questions, or show you anything in
I have a
particular?
question, Nova.
Okay.
You might have said this at the beginning and I missed it, but how many people are on your team part of doing the training?
So there are 6 of us at the moment,
Wow.
but now this is quite exciting. In September, we're moving to a new DDAT, digital data and technology service, which is brand new. We've never even had a data team, for example. So I'm really hopeful and excited about this new department. So at the moment we're 6, but we are getting an extra person once we move to DDAT. So somebody who's going to be even more responsible for basically user journeys. So that's going to be pretty amazing. Yeah, 6 at the moment, which is not too bad. I know we're a lot bigger than some of you are just literally one person, but then we're also a lot smaller than others. So yeah, how many are in your team?
Agile Collective, we're in an agency, so
Oh, of
it's
course, yeah,
slightly different setup.
yeah,
But
yeah. I mean,
what
we've
about
got
the rest of you in councils? What do your teams that look at accessibility look like?
I think we're probably a good person to ask about this because we are currently in the currently in the process of like growing our team quite substantially. One of the things that I'm unsure about is they're bringing in like some people with like generic skills and hopefully like skilling them up. So I'm a little bit worried about like that side of things because in our digital services we have like a UX kind of like column, a content column, and a development column, and getting somebody in to do all 3 of those things seems like a mammoth task, and when you're including stuff like accessibility and all that kind of stuff. But right now we've got a team of 3 content writers, 3 UXers, 1 developer, and we're looking to expand our team by 3 more grade 8s, which is kind of like the same level as Akeem, Omley, and Graham in this meeting. And then we're getting some apprentices and some grade 6s who are responsible for like other responsibilities as well. But as a team, we will all be looking after like things like accessibility and stuff like that.
Wow, that's huge. That's a massive team.
Well,
You've got
we've been
3 different
trying to
roles
get
as
this for
well.
ages. We've just grown as team like recently. We were kind of a skeleton team of just like I think it was like 5 people like across all disciplines and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
And we're pretty much all here today.
Yeah.
No, hi, whole of Sheffield, all in one go. So the team training PowerPoint that I put together, so is anyone interested in seeing that and whether it's going to be useful, or shall I just not bother? I'm quite happy to not. I just don't know whether it's something you might want to use to either to guide your own training sessions or as I say,
I
to
would
use
definitely like to see it.
I would like
Okay, I'm
to
going
as
to
well.
share.
Just any little
All right, well,
helps.
I won't show the whole thing, but
That's
I'll do
fine.
the whole 2.5 hour session. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
I shall just, let me open it up and then we'll get going. Where are you? There we go. Right, and I'm going to share again. Okay. You should see now a purple screen. Can
Yep.
you all see that now? Yeah, okay. So this is just the starter page, and I've tried to make it look pretty as well as useful. But okay, right now, brilliant. How do I? There we go. So it's literally, I'm just going to flick through it really quickly. So we go through. I've just got my notes, but it just goes through all the basics. What is DA? All the categories, the legislation, the penalties. This I ask who's disabled in this, which is the answer is of course nobody, because picture A, there was a ramp built for the person in the wheelchair. And then I go into our 2040 priorities and our values, all this, a lot of stuff. I'll go through these perspective videos, the definition of assistive technology, links to all our kind of standards and our guides. Then they give them a break, and then I'll go through the step-by-step guide, and I'll get them to. I send them all a document that's got lots of issues and get them to fix it. And then we fix it. And then I'll talk about like the support that's available, and then there's a 15-minute Q&A session. So that's basically it. Is anybody what I'll do? I wonder if can I add it in the chat on here, and then you can just download it if you want it and do whatever you like with it. I don't know if I can even add it. I'm sure I must be able to. If I can get my mouse to work, there we go. Right, here we go. Oh, that's just adding a link. Can I add a document? Is that it? Aha.
I might be able to add it to the Miro board.
Yes, well, that might be a better idea. I'll send it to you after this then, Maria.
Yeah.
And then it can be added. Yeah, and if anyone wants it, then go for it. I'll send the shorter one as well, the kind of 20-30 minute one for individuals. But there you go. That's my training.
There we are. We're all trained in 20
Absolutely.
seconds
You
or
took it
something.
all there.
You
You got all the
flew through there.
information in that. I was literally just kind of giving you an idea of what I talk about in my sessions.
Yeah. Has anyone
So
got
I'll hand
any
back to you
other
then.
questions specifically
Yeah.
for Nova, or about training in general, or your your experiences of training that you'd like to share?
I did some, well, I did a careers talk to my son's primary school last month and did some similar stuff around the kind of like comparing physical disabilities to accessibility on the web. And yeah, I mean, obviously 10-year-olds completely different to
Yeah.
count. Well, actually quite similar to a lot of our colleagues, aren't they, in terms of maybe their levels of knowledge around it. But yeah, we had some interesting discussions around it. It just made me think if primary school.
Well, I don't know if I'm.
I think you just cut out at the end of your sentence there, Graham.
Yeah.
Kids can get it, then you know, so if
Yeah,
primary school
I
kids
was.
can get it, then our colleagues should be able to as well.
Oh, we just had it delayed. Do your delayed voice. Yeah, I was actually talking about this yesterday about how really, because accessibility and accessible documents aren't going away, they need to start teaching it in school so that from school age people are creating accessible documents and it's not some big new thing. Hopefully that'll, I don't know whether that'll become a thing, but it needs to.
Can I just ask, Nova?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hi.
have you guys ever have you been making much attempts to try and steer people away from using documents altogether? Or-
Yeah, at the moment with this current content management system, it's difficult. But we do a lot of times. People will send over a document to add to upload, and we'll tell them that it's better as that we can just add it as page content instead. It depends on the type of document and what state or what mess the document is in the first place. But definitely when we move to local gov Drupal completely, that's going to be much more of a focus for us.
I guess it's worth saying some other councils have. So Hammersmith and Fulham, for example, have started to do that, and they've invested quite a lot of time and energy into the HTML publications module. And so that's really worth having a look at.
Definitely.
And there's some demo content for that actually on the site. So I'll try and dig out some examples now, and I'll share them in the chat because it's worth looking at.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to us having our test space so that I can start playing about with local gov Drupal, because obviously I've looked at all the links. We did have kind of a demo site which I got to know a little bit, but that was, I swear, it feels like 3 years ago. It can't have been that long, but I'm really looking forward to getting to know it and to start practicing and being able to figure out what we can do and what modules we want to include. So yeah, bring it on. Can't wait. I'll feel more part of this team as well then, because I'll actually be on LGD rather than just talking about it.
I don't think anyone would doubt you're part of this team, Nova.
Oh,
You
thanks.
you contribute loads.
Thank you.
Okay. I was going to I feel like Nova's covered such a lot. I'm not sure
Sorry.
if I can add it. No, not at all. I'm not sure if what I was going to add is going to I think it might be more overwhelming at this point. So I wonder if I wanted to make sure there was enough space for people if they had any other accessibility questions that they wanted to bring that wasn't specifically to do with training. Just wanted to allow a space for that. If you do, maybe you could just pipe up, or you could put your hand up, or pop it in the chat. And if you don't, we can carry on this topic.
I've got a question, Maria. Sorry, I don't know how to put my hand up on Zoom.
No, that's fine. Please just talk.
We're kind of like obviously starting out on this journey. We want to do things right from the beginning. And I was wondering whether or not anybody's got any experience of like accessibility acceptance criterias for like the Drupal features, and whether or not anybody's got them already written that they'd be willing to share as a start of a 10.
I'm just reaching for Google for you right now. Not written that other people could answer this too, but I think I did see something recently, which was a whole list of accessibility acceptance criteria published on the web. Let me just consult Google for a moment to find it.
Okay. I have Googled a lot and found things in various places and tried to pull them together, but like I'm kind of concerned that I might be missing something really fundamental. So I thought you are the experts here ahead of us in terms of the journey, and you might have some good resources there.
Does anybody else have anything that they use or have written?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is useful or too vague, Joanne, but I don't do content check-in, so which is why I haven't really had much to add so far. But I do accessibility testing more from a functional side. So within Drupal, like the keyboard navigation, do images have alt tags? color contrast check-in, things like that.
Yep.
So I don't have like a specific list to give you because it's just built up from years of experience. But broadly, I would say the main thing is, do colors clash enough so that you can read text?
Yeah.
Particularly if it's small text. Can you navigate with a keyboard instead of a mouse? Do images and links have some sort of alt text? And can screen readers pick up all the main content that's required? But also, can screen readers skip things that aren't required? Because you might have images on a page that are just nice to be there, but they don't add anything. So if you're trying to navigate with a screen reader, that can actually bog down the system.
Yeah. Okay. Super.
I'll have a look if I've got any official stuff written down, but it's like I say, it's more a case of I use a combination of tools. I use Axe within Google Chrome, Lighthouse, what else do I use? Axe Waveform. So I sort of do
they're
a
all the ones
combination.
I've heard of. Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of do a combination of them for each site that I'm testing to try and pick out everything I can. Yeah.
I think what's going to become helpful in terms of writing accessibility acceptance criteria is the introduction of functional needs, which is sort of happening where rather than looking at specific technology, it's looking at the outcome. So it's more you're looking, say, can the content be used with it? Is it usable without vision? Is it usable without color perception? Is it usable with limited depth or without hearing? And that's sort of been built up. I think that's part of the EU stuff going forward, and that's coming with the WCAG 3 is the idea. But sort of shifting that focus to the outcome and how it can be used for, so not specific cases, but the more generality. That can be an interesting way going in the future of framing those tests.
This is the site that I was looking at, which is definitely more kind of building components type acceptance criteria than content side of things, but
yeah,
there are some nice acceptance criteria there, and it even puts it in Gherkin, if you know what Gherkin is.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I've not seen that one. That's really good. Yeah, I'll have a look through that. Thank you.
And similarly, the there's probably probably the W3C describe a lot of components with their accessibility criteria at the end. I'll try and find an example for like a disclosure or something.
Yeah, just to come in on this one, we use a combination, a bit like Michael said earlier, a combination of tools. So we start from the automated testing. I personally use Wave, the browser extension by WebAIM, both for page testing and for color contrast testing. So the color contrast tool is very useful because you just put the hex codes in for the background and the foreground, and it basically gives you a very, it just gives you pass or fail. So it does the job for you. You don't have to, be left guessing. And Wave 1, the extension is very good because it tests everything from the structure of a page. So if you have, headings or pages, so if you're missing a heading level, it will pick it up. In the body, alt text missing. It's especially useful for those things that aren't obvious, like, e-forms, web forms that have area labels, or, if there's anything wrong in the code in the backend, it will pick it up. So Wave is very, very useful for us. And then there's the manual bit. So keyboard navigation. Can you interact with every important element on the page? As Michael said, can you skip the stuff that isn't useful? So if an image doesn't have any alt text, is it still being read out loud, or is it skipped as it should? And then, yeah, there's the question, for example, lately we've had a lot of requests to add podcasts or, audio files to pages. So that's where the, accessibility knowledge comes in, because we have that mindset now, don't we? Like, can everybody see this? Can everybody listen to this? Can everybody hear this? So whenever there's that, although no, it wouldn't be picked up automatically, but is there a transcript available? Yeah, so it's a mix of things. And recently, I don't know about others, but Power BI reports have become a thing for us. For example, there's a data team that is publishing a lot of, work profile reports, like state of the borough, things like that, as Power BI reports. And there's not necessarily an alternative. So a bit of a question for anyone who's come across them. Have you published them on our website? And if there's any advice, struggles, yeah, that's our latest challenge.
Was that was a request for other people as well who've been publishing them?
Yeah, if anyone has been publishing those, yeah, if you have any advice at all, anything you're doing to ensure, that everybody can access that information.
And it's the Power BI reports. Are they am I mixing them up? Are they graphs and things, or?
Yeah, so I'm aware of time, so maybe it's one that
one for another. We can bring it back next time, perhaps.
One. I'm happy to come with the links so that we can look at examples. But yeah, they're basically dashboards, interactive dashboards.
Okay. Yeah. That sounds like an interesting topic.
Giada, sorry, Maria. Oh,
please,
sorry, Maria. I've just
go
put a link into the chat about Power BI reports. Brighton Council did something quite a while back, and I didn't know what Power BI apps or what they were. So I did look and did a bit of investigation, and it does look like they are accessible from like the get-go. It seems that they have been, that Microsoft make them accessible out the box, but yeah.
Same here. I had no idea until I had the word like what they were until recently. Yeah, thank you. There's the usual thing after they have been created. If people have followed, use headings, mark things up at source, like add alt text. So of course they would be more accessible. But yeah, it's not, finding it easy to test them as we would for, web pages. So thank you for the link. Yeah.
Okay, let's wrap up.